Manchester City need saving, and I believe there is one man for the job, and it ain't Pep Guardiola, in my opinion. In fact, I think there's two men that could save Manchester City. The first man's quite an obvious one, but the second man is a little bit of a surprise. But before I get started into that, new office. Temporary. I feel like a man on the phone with his left hand, with me being right-handed. I feel a little bit awkward. Like, where do I look? Where do I look? Where's the camera? Where's the camera? It's a bit weird in here, but here we go. We're back in action now on Typical City, so make sure you're hitting that like button and subscribing. But here we go. Manchester City needs saving. Pep Guardiola, I don't think he is the man. I think he'll have a massive say in Manchester City's success into next season, but I think there's a hand-and-glove situation going on at Manchester City, as there is with a lot of football clubs, namely with the sporting director and the manager of these football clubs. And Hugo Viana has got a massive role to play at Manchester City now going forward, because the job he did at Sporting Lisbon was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And while Ruben Amorim is getting a lot of credit for his job at Sporting Lisbon, and yes, he did a very good job. He led Sporting Lisbon onto Portuguese titles that they hadn't won in 20-odd years. Portuguese League Cups, 4 in fact, and all 4 were achieved between 2018 and 2022. They're only 4 they'd ever won, you know. But I don't think it was a coincidence that he had a partner in crime, and that was alongside Hugo Viana. Now you look at Ruben Amorim and the success that he's having at Manchester United, which I believe is minimal success, because he hasn't got the tools. He hasn't got the players he needs. Now, who goes and gets those players? Hugo Viana. Hugo Viana is the man who did a lot of the groundwork, the ugly work, the behind-the-scenes work for Sporting Lisbon, and why they went on to be a successful Portuguese club, because they were living on a shoestring budget as well, because I've got some unbelievable deals to show you right now. Because if you look at some of these most notable transfers, and I can't emphasise enough here how much of a shoestring budget this actually is for Sporting Lisbon, when they had a spending average of 30 million euros. So Rafinha is one of the notable transfers that they signed for 6.5 million euros, sold for 21 million euros to Stade Rennais. He obviously went on to Leeds beyond that and became an even bigger success, but still a huge profit there. He oversaw the sale of Bruno Fernandes, who was originally sold for, I think it was around 9 million euros, and eventually sold for 65 million euros. Unbelievable. Manuel Ugarte, now playing at Manchester United, was signed for 24.5 million and then sold to PSG for 60 million euros, doubling the profit margin there, which is unbelievable. Pedro Porro, Manchester City fans will know all too well about him, 8 million euros, sold to Spurs for 40 million euros, and City got a big chunk of that, big chunk of that. They sold Mateus Nunes to Wolves for 47 million euros. I'm pretty sure City paid around that, to be honest. 47 million. I think we paid about 45, so Wolves got done dirty there, really. But I mean, you look at the players are now in demand, the players that they haven't sold yet but are likely to sell. Victor Gyökeres signed for 24 million from Coventry. You know, he's got a market value of 75 million euros now. Morten Hjulmand, 19.5 million euros they signed him for, now got a market value of over double that, 45 million euros. Trincao, 7 million euros they spent on him from Barcelona. Linked with Manchester City recently as well, but I mean, get in the comments below if you think he'd be a good signing for Manchester City. I'm not sure where he'd play, to be honest. But he's got a market value of 30 million euro. Now, you factor in Hugo Viana is joining this Manchester City side, and like I said, I can't emphasise enough the shoestring budget that Sporting Lisbon went on to achieve these unbelievable things in the Portuguese division, and it was on a shoestring budget of spending around 30 to 40 million max, really, in terms of expenditure on every transfer window. You factor in Manchester City's budget and you wonder where they could go. You wonder where he could go. You wonder what he could achieve with Manchester City. I mean, I'm getting excited about the idea of Hugo Viana. And while I think a lot of people are going to be focusing on Pep, and I think the manager obviously does have a big role, like I said at the beginning of the video, I think it's a hand-and-glove situation, which I think United are finally getting on board with that. You know, it's only recently that they've decided to hire a sporting director, and that went a bit tits up as well. But I mean, United being late to the show, but Manchester City have been doing this for quite some time with Chigi Begiristain. So I think that he's going to go on to do amazing things, and I think this has been something that's happened quite a long time ago. I think this was a deal that happened back in 22, where City were at least umming and ahhing about the idea of Hugo Viana, but there is another man joining Manchester. Oh, rumours are to believe. There's nothing official about this yet, but the rumours are strong, and very, very likely is that Manchester City will be signing Fernandinho. Not in midfield, Not playing a 39-year-old in the middle of our midfield and hoping for the best. I don't think we're going that desperate for a midfield. We definitely need a midfield, and I wouldn't mind prime Fernandinho, but 39-year-old Fernandinho, I'll probably give it a miss, to be honest, because I'm not sure he's ideal. I'm not sure he's quite cut out for it considering his age, but I wouldn't put it past him. Being better than some of the performances we've seen in our midfield so far this season, I bet he would have done an all right job, actually, thinking about it, probably would have done, knowing Fernandinho. But he is potentially going to be in the coaching staff. And again, this is an underrated aspect of football clubs. You think about Juan Melillo, who took over in 2023 after the treble. So let's not disrespect the coaching staff that are now at Manchester City. You've got Carlos Vicens, Inigo Dominguez as well, another first-team coach, and he actually is the right-hand man of Juan Melillo. Carlos Vicens was promoted from the under-18s manager as well. So he came in, I think it was 2018, 2019. So he oversaw things like the treble and things like that. So he's a massive part of the football club. But Juan Melillo and Inigo Dominguez, those two together, they came in after the treble. Now, they did see us win 4 Premier League titles in a row, so they oversaw that challenge. But what was left behind was no Enzo Maresca for a start, because that was the year he left. Now, he's obviously the manager of Chelsea right now. You go beyond that, go back to the 100-point season, when Manchester City had a very good assistant coach who's now challenging us for Premier League titles in Mikel Arteta. So I think it's a massive, massive role that gets played at a football club when you factor in the importance of these guys and you're bringing in Fernandinho. Now, Juan Melillo oversaw those 2 games against Sheffield United, I think was one of them, and Fulham was the other one, while Pep Guardiola was getting back surgery or recovering from back surgery, and he oversaw that game. As much as I don't want to disrespect Juan Melillo, he doesn't fill me with inspiration. Do you know what I mean? I don't feel excited about Juan Melillo, really. Whereas Fernandinho, rocking up to Manchester City with the numbers that he's got, achieving 14 major trophies with Manchester City. If that was Fernandinho, I'd be walking into that dressing room and saying, nodding my head at Rodri and saying, how you doing, mate? How you doing, Rodri? I remember passing the torch to you, mate. How are you doing, Mr. Ballon d'Or winner? Here's my 14 medals that I've got to show for you. Everyone show me some respect. And he'll get it. And a lot of the City players that were there when Fernandinho was there, you're thinking Phil Foden, De Bruyne as well, Bernardo Silva, obviously Rodri, Pep Guardiola and the relationship between him. I think that's a massive, massive coup for Manchester City. And I think Fernandinho is obviously going down the path of hopefully not becoming as good enough to leave us one day and becoming a top-level manager and goes on to challenge us at the top of the Premier League table like Maresca and Mikel Arteta are doing right now. You know, you're hoping it's not a situation like that. But in reality, I think Fernandinho's on that same path. And if he is, the importance of these guys, the Hugo Viana behind the scenes, Fernandinho behind the scenes, Pep Guardiola is the face of the football club. And these people behind the scenes are a massive, massive aspect of the football club. And I cannot wait to see what these guys do as a relationship between the club and Pep Guardiola. But guys, I really, really want to hear your thoughts on this. How important do you think this is going to be? How important do you think the summer transfer is going to be? Because it's absolutely essential for me, for Manchester City to go on. And will Hugo Viana, will he have been there long enough? Will he have been able to sink his teeth into the meal that is Manchester City right now? Because we really, really need a lot of work doing. And will the summer transfer window be enough for him to enact a positive impact on this football club right now? Because he already got the ball rolling in January, signing the likes of Kusanov, Vita Heiss and Marmoush and Nico Gonzalez as well. 4 major signings as well, and I think there's going to be even more in the summer. Let me know your thoughts, Blues. Like and subscribe, and let us know your thoughts on this as well, the new office as well. It's temporary as well, so this is a temporary situation. I am going to be moving again in a short time, probably a few months as well, which is annoying, to be honest. Very annoying, because it took me fucking ages to do this. Really fucking long. So drop a like on the video, it massively helps. Like and subscribe to Typical City, and I'll see you in the next one.